Welcome back to Forgotten Genocides, the raging forge where we hammer truth from the iron of denial's chains. Today, we plunge into the heart of darkness with the hidden atrocities of colonial wars in Africa. A continent is soul flayed alive by Europe, as greed a symphony of savagery that devoured tens of millions in a century of shadows. Picture it. Emerald jungles whispering ancient secrets, rivers teeming with life, peoples woven into the earth's rhythm, violated, vivisected, and vanished under the boot of civilization. Over the next 10 minutes, we'll claw through the buried graves, the rubber-choked horrors of Congo, the desert infernos of Namibia, the torture pits of Kenya, the blood-soaked sands of Algeria. Viewer discretion. This reckoning will sear your spirit, its education baptized in the blood of the betrayed. If your heart thunders for the silenced, subscribe now and storm the gates with us. Let's rip the mask from empire's grinning skull, or let it devour us whole. To unleash this leviathan, we must dredge the slime of origins, not the polite scramble for Africa of 1884's Berlin farce, but the festering rot of racism's venom, where white explorers like Henry Morton Stanley branded African savages fit for chains. What history's inkblots conceal? The Berlin Conference's banquet of betrayal, carving a cradle of civilizations into feast for wolves, ignoring borders drawn by gods and ancestors. By the 1890s, Belgium's Leopold II, that porcelain tyrant, claimed the Congo as his personal property. A rubber realm where greeds whip cracked flesh from bone. Books murmur of exploitation, but the abyss yawns wider. Force publican forces, mercenaries with hearts of lead, hacked hands from laborers who missed quotas, villages razed in orgies of fire, women and children herded like cattle to feed the maw of Europe's tires. Up to 10 million souls, half the population, starved, shot or scourged in a holocaust of harvest. Their severed palms piled like grotesque trophies, the Congo River running red with the empire's thirst. Feel the tremor? This wasn't conquest, it was cannibalism, Africa's heart ripped beating from its chest. Leopold's Congo was but the prelude to a chorus of carnage. Turn to Germany's Namibia, 1904, where the Herero and Nama peoples rose against the Kaiser's yoke, only to be crushed in the world's first concentration camps. What the annals asphyxiate: the Shark Island hellhole, where 80% of Nama prisoners, women clutching infants, elders whispering defiance, withered in sand-swept cages, starved on rancid mealy pap, their bodies experiments in extermination's art. General Lothar von Trotha's extermination order wasn't hyperbole. It was gospel. Herero driven into the Omaheke desert like vermin, thirst-clawing throats roar, mothers burying babes in dunes that swallowed their screams. Up to 100,000 Herero, 10,000 Nama, gone, their lands seized for white farms blooming on graves. Survivors, branded with irons, toiled in chains, their tongues lashed silent. This wasn't war, it was a blueprint for Auschwitz, the desert's wail a harbinger of gas chambers, etched in the bones of a people who dared to dream of dignity. The whip cracked onward to Britain's Kenya, 1952, the Mau Mau Uprising, where Kikuyu freedom fighters clawed for soil stolen by settler barons. Textbooks tame it as rebellion, but the underbelly writhes. Operation Anvil's dragnet, 1.5 million herded into barbed wire labyrinths. The pipeline, a gulag of 80 camps where torture was curriculum. What chills the marrow? The women's apocalypse. Mothers like Mukami, beaten till bones splintered, raped with bottles in screening huts, their wombs invaded as interrogation. Children, 30,000 orphaned, branded subversives, and flogged till flesh peeled. Castrations with pliers, eyes gouged in routine brutality. Up to 90,000 tortured, 20,000 slaughtered in forests, their heads strung like lanterns on settler verandas. Caroline Elkins unearthed the ledgers of horror, Britain's dirty war, buried in Foreign Office vaults, a stain that screams for restitution. Hear their echoes. Africa's daughters, rising from the mire, their blood a river demanding justice's deluge. France's Algerian inferno, 1954-1962, wasn't pacification. It was a paroxysm of pulverization, 1.5 million Algerians vaporized in a vortex of napalm and knives. What the chronicles choke, the caves of torture. Philippeville's harvest of heads, where 12,000 felagas were machine-gunned in markets, infants bayoneted in cradles, the air acrid with the stench of scorched flesh. Women like Jamila Boupasha, her body a canvas of cigarette burns and electric prods, raped with bottles in interrogation cells, General Massou's clean hands, doctrine a lie, scrawled in screams. The Battle of Algiers, a symphony of savagery, paratroopers herding thousands into football stadiums, waterboarding the innocent till lungs burst, villages erased by B-26 bombers in firestorms of phosphorus. Up to 300,000 vanished, their ghosts haunting the Casbah's alleys. This wasn't liberation's labor pains, it was empire's death rattle. Algeria's soil soaked in the lifeblood of a people who refused to kneel. The crescendo of colonial cataclysm. A continent hemorrhaged, 20-30 million Africans annihilated in a century of whips and wires, from Leopold's rubber pyres to France's napalm novae. The hidden calculus of empire's calculus. Herero camps foreshadowing Treblinka. Mau Mau pits birthing Abu Ghraib. Feel the quake. Mothers' wails weaving through windswept graves. Children's eyes hollowed by hunger's hollows. Elders' wisdom whipped to whispers in the void. Villages vaporized, cultures crucified. Lands leached of life for Europe's luxuries. Ivory thrones built on ivory bones. The scale? A holocaust unspoken, Africa's heart flayed in forums of forgetfulness, the scrambled scars suppurating in neocolonial chains. But from this abyss, titans rose, Mau Mau's unbreakable oath, Herero's desert defiance, Algerian Falaga's unyielding fire, a phoenix fury scorching the oppressor's sails. How can we stand silent? Their blood thunders through our veins, demanding we roar. Reparations now, remembrance eternal, or history's horrors repeat in endless refrain. Africa's colonial crucible forged the Genocide Convention of 1948, a battered blade against repetition's blade, yet shadows stalk. Resource wars echoing Leopold's lust, displacements mirroring the death marches. The untold, a resilience radiant, diasporas dancing in defiance, griots guarding the grave's grimoires, youth rising with the ancestors' roar. Sources: Adam Hochschild's King Leopold's Ghost, for Congo's carnage, Caroline Elkins' Imperial Reckoning, for Kenya's Kempetai, Alistair Horne's A Savage War of Peace, for Algeria's agony, USHMM and African Archives for the unyielding ledger. If this tempest tore your core, if Africa's buried blaze scorches your soul, like this video, unleash your reflections in comments. Which atrocity ignites your rage most? Share to shatter the silence. Subscribe to Forgotten Genocides for more reckonings, like our next storm on the Rwandan rupture. Thank you for raging with us. In their thunder, we triumph.